Today I will show you how to make these 2048 games from scratch. So this is exactly what we're gonna make. This is the simple games with the score and the best score. So let's get started. So I have created an empty Unity project. There is nothing in it, just a 2D template. And in the asset folder, let's create script. Scripts and then prefabs. In the scene, I will right click UI canvas and then canvas. Let's set this canvas to screen space overlay and then scale with screen size. The reference resolution is going to be 1920 by 1080 and then match it will be 0.5. Now under the canvas, let's right click, create empty, and I will call it game root. Then under the game root, let's right click, create empty, and then this is gonna be the board grid. Okay, in the board grid, let's add two components. So first one will be image, and this image I will set the color something gray. This is going to be the background for our board. And then let's do the grid layout group. Grid layout group, and then this is going to be the grid. So the cell size, I will set this to 200. You can adjust it later once we have the prefab and then the actually cells spawned. The spacing will be 16. And then the constraint, just make sure you set this to fixed column count. And then column count will be 4. If you want to make bigger grid, you can adjust the settings later. And also make sure in the rect transform you set the width to 850 and then 850, so we have nice square. And then we need to also have the score text. So right click on the game root, UI. Text Mesh Pro, and that's going to be the score text, and then the same. So once we do that, we need to actually import essentials from the Text Mesh Pro. So click import essential. Let's close it. You can adjust the size. I will just make sure it's centered and move it up. So it's gonna be at the top here, and then change the anchor to be on the top. And now we need to have the best score. So I will duplicate this score text and let's rename it to best score, and then move it on the side over here. Okay, so we have two texts. We don't need to just set the value of the text. Is gonna be done from the script. And then we need to have also a prefab. So I will collapse the game root and now right click on the canvas, create empty, and there's gonna be tile sail. Okay, and then in the tile sail we need to add image. So UI image, that's gonna be the background. And then the text, so right click, UI canvas, Text Mesh Pro, text, and that's gonna be the value text. And let's set it to 1. Let's set the color to be maybe black. And I will just center it out and maybe increase the font size to 60. Okay, so we have nicely displayed number. And then let's open the prefab folder, drag this tile sail and drop it into the folder. So we create the prefab from it. And now we can remove this tile sail from the scene. So I will just remove it. And that's pretty much it from the editor. Now we need to create some scripts. So I will just save everything here, and now inside the scripts folder let's add first of all the board script. So right click, create mono behavior, and then board, and then let's open the script. So let's start with the board class. I won't need the start and the update method, and also I will not need the inheritance from the mono behavior. At the top, let's put the serializable. Okay, serializable, and make sure you add that using system. And then in the board class, the first field we will need is the size of the board. So public int, that's gonna be the size, and this will be the property. So it's gonna be taking the value from the size. The variable, we don't have it yet. Then score. Score, that's gonna be the score. Then the best score. So best score will be taking the value from the best score. Okay, now the private. So private read only, and that's gonna be the int size. Now private read only, and this will be the int, and that's gonna be the array, and I will call it grid. So this array will hold the value of the fields. Now private int score, and then best score. Okay, and now let's put the constructor. So public board int size. So we're going to initialize the size right in the constructor. So this size will be equal to size and the grid. So the array will be new integer, and the size of the array will be size by size. So that is the square array. And now we will initialize our best score. So best score will be equal to player prefab, player prefs, and we're gonna store the guest score under the best score value. So I will just put the get int, and let's put the key best score. We could theoretically store this key in the string or somewhere else, but for now I'm just gonna put it here, and we're gonna get the best score. But if the key doesn't exist, we're gonna get the value 0. Now let's put the function to reset the board. So public int reset board. So this function will reset the board and then start new game. So let's first clear our array. So array dot clear, and we need to pass our grid. We want to clear it with the index 0, and then grid dot length. So that's going to clear our array. Then we need to clear the score. So score will be equal to 0. And now we need to actually spawn the first 2 tiles. So we're going to start with the 2 tiles right at the start of the game. So we're going to create the function spawn random tile. So spawn so that's the function we will create. Okay, so let's create actually this function now. So public void spawn random tile, and this function will add 2 or 4 numbers on the board. So first of all, let's create the list of the vector 2, and list is not recognized, and I'm gonna import the using system collection generic right at the top. as you see. Make sure you add that. And then list is, we can use the list, so empty cells will be equal to new list of ints. We can put like that. Actually, we want to vector to int, not vector to. Okay. And now we're gonna scan our board to search for empty fields. So for int x equals 0, x is less than the size, x plus plus. Because this is a square array, so we need to loop through other dimension as well. So for int y equals 0, y is less than the size, y plus plus. And now we want to check if the grid at x and y is equal to 0. So if that field is empty, then we want to add that empty cells dot add new vector to int, and then we put x and y. So we're going to store basically the indexes. And now we will check if outside of this for loops, if the empty cells dot count will be equal to 0, then we want to return. Okay, because if that's the case, we don't have any position to spawn our new cell. Now we will search for the random field random cell to spawn our new cell. So vector to int, and that's going to be the random cell, will be equal to empty cells at unity engine dot random dot range, and we want to put the 0 from 0 to empty cells dot count. Okay, so we're just going to select the random cell. So we need to initialize to what number we will spawn. So there's going to be two combinations, number 2 or 4, and we want to split up the chances. So I will put like a 90%, so that's going to be the 90% to spawn 2, and then 10% to spawn 4. Number 4, okay? And to do that is very simple. We're gonna get our grid at random cell dot x and then random cell dot y, and that's gonna be the equal unity engine dot random dot value, and then if the random value is less than the 0.9f, that's going to represent the 90%. If that's the true, we're going to put 2, otherwise we're going to put 4. Okay, because the value is the number between 0 and 1, so that value we're just going to check if 90% of it, if it's more than 0.9, is going to be number 4, and then if it's less, it's going to be number 2. Now we need to have some more functions. So first of all, we want to get the value of the field on the board. So private, public int, and then get value, and then int x, int y. So we're going to put the indexes from which we want to take the value, and then return grid at x and then y. Okay. We want to implement the function to make a move in any direction. So public bool move, vector to int direction bool any changed to be equal to false. Now we need to go through every single line on the grid. So for int I equal 0, I is less than the size I plus plus. Now we want to get the line from the grid. So int, and that's going to be the array, will be equal to getLine. GetLine, assuming that function will return the array of the integers, and we will pass the EI, which is going to be the index of the line and then direction. And then this function does not exist yet, so before we continue, let's actually add this function in. So getLine will be private int getLine and then int index vector to int direction. And then int, that's going to be the array line, be equal to new int size. So it's going to be the size of our grid line. And then if the direction is equal to vector to left, then we want to do the for x equals int x equals 0, x is less than the size x plus plus, and then line at x will be equal to grid at x and then index. Okay, so we're just going to capture the values. So that's if is left. If the direction is right, so I'm just going to copy this if statement and then put it here and then put else. So else if the direction is right, and in that case we're going to take the value from the grid, that's going to be the size minus 1 minus x and then index. Okay, now let's copy this. If the direction is up, we're gonna take the value from the grid index, and then for the y is gonna be the size minus 1 minus y, and actually we can replace the x with the y as well, so it's more obvious what we're doing. And then for the direction down, we will put it here, and then if direction is down, we want to get the index, and then for the y is going to be y. Okay, and then we will return our line. Okay, so that's the function. So getLine, this is exactly how it's supposed to be. And now let's go back to the move function. So this is the move function. Let's continue with that implementation. Okay, so we have our, let's put the name line. Okay, and so we have our line, and now let's put some more variables. Bool line changed, line changed, and then int gained scores. And then int, let's capture another array, processed. This is the processed is basically when we combining together our squares. And then that function will be equal to process line, and we want to put our line and then get out from the function line changed, and then out gained score. Okay, so now we need to implement our process line function. So let's go down and then let's put that. So this function will be basically connecting two ties together. So if we move left, it's gonna put two ties together according to the rules for the 2048 game. So private int array process line, and now we need to pass int array line, and then out bool changed, and then out int gained score. Okay, let's implement that function now. So gain scores will be equal to 0 right at the start, and then a list of int values will be equal to new list of ints. Now let's remove zeros. So for int I0 and then line dot length, if the line at I is not equal 0, then we will put value dot add line at I. So that is for removing the zeros. Now let's put another list to merge. So list of int merge will be equal to new list of int, and then int index will be equal to 0. While, so now we in the while loop actually we will connect to the same squares. So if you have 2 and 2, we're going to combine them into square 4. So if index is less than the values dot count, and then if index is less than the values dot count -1 and values at index is equal to values at index +1, int new value will be equal to values at index times 2, and then merged dot add new value. We want to increase the gain scores plus equal new value, and then index plus equal to. Okay, because we moved 2 squares. And then else merged dot add values at index plus plus. Okay, I put a semicolon for some reason here. All looks good. And then outside of this while loop, we want to fill up the zeros. So while merged dot count is less than the size, we want to put the merged dot add 0. Now we want to check if the line has changed at all. So int array result to be equal to merged dot to array, and then changed will be equal to false. Okay, I forgot semicolon. And now for int I less than the size, if the line at I is not equal to results at I, then changed will be equal to true, and then break. Okay, and now what we need to do now is we need to return our results. So return result. Okay, and that should be it for this function. So hopefully you have it right. And now we can use the process line. And of course I made a typo mistake, so line change need to be passed here, and then gain score need to be passed there. Okay, and now we can use those values. So so let's move back to our move function, and let's check if our line changed. So if that's the case, we're gonna save our line back to our board. So set line, and of course we don't have this function. So before we continue, let's actually implement this. Right at the bottom, let's put the private void set line. So this function will be getting our line and then save it back to the board. So int index vector to int direction, and then int that's gonna be the array line. Okay, and then if the direction dot vector to direction is equal to vector to left, we want to do the for x, and then it's going to be less than the size, and then grid at x and index will be equal to, that's going to be the grid. Okay, will be equal to line at x. Okay, let's copy this, and then let's do the same for the right direction. So else, and then direction dot right, and then for the right direction we want to put the grid size -1 minus x, and then index, and then line at x. Okay, so make sure you have this right. And then another will be the else if the direction is equal to vector dot up. Let's put the 4, and we're gonna call it this time y. Okay, and then if the direction is up, we're gonna put the grid at index size -1 minus y will be equal to line at y. And then last thing we need to do, we need to put the direction down. And this is gonna be the, for the grid, it's gonna be the index, and then instead of size, we're just gonna leave y, and then that's gonna be the symbol. So this function is just basically getting the results from the line and then updating the grid on that. So let's go back to our move function again. Okay, so set line will be saving our results, so we will pass I, then direction, and then processed. So that's the array we're gonna pass. Any changed will be equal to true. Now add some scores, so score plus equal gained scores. And now we need to update the best scores, so if our score is more than the best score, we want to put the best score equal to score, and then player prefs dot set int, and we want to set our best score. When we set our best score in the player prefabs, make sure you use the same key. So I have put it at the top, so this is the string, so best score. Theoretically, we could move this one to the string, so let's do that. Right at the top, I will put the private const best score string be equal to score string. Okay, so that's the best score string, and let's update our best score string here, and then inside our move. So when we set it, we're gonna set it on the best score string, and then we're gonna set the value best score, and then make sure you put the player prefs dot save to save the results. And then of course this function move return the boolean, so we need to return the bool, and then we want to return, make sure you are outside of the for loop, and then return any changed. Okay, so that's the function here, and then there is a last function we need to add in this class. We need to actually check if the player can move. So right below I'll put public bool can move, and then for x is less than the size, so we want to loop through the size of the array, and then for y is less than the size, because this is the square array. And now we need to put the int value dot equal grid at x and y, so we need to capture the value from the specific index, and if that value, so if the value is equal to 0, that means we can move, so return true, so at least one value have to equal to 0. And now we will check the neighbors, so if the x is less than the size -1 and grid x plus 1, y is equal to value, return true. And then another check if, because that's on the check position, on the x position, and now y is less than the size -1, and grid at x y plus 1 is equal to value, return. Okay, return true. Just to explain, we can check if we can move. We can move if the value is 0, obviously, because this is empty field, and also if everything is filled up, but our neighbor is the same value as, for example, we have 2, and then the neighbor is 2 also, so we can merge them together, so we can move on the x, and also we can move on the y on the same principle. So if we have a 2 and then right above is 2, we can move up or move down if the down value is 2 as well. So this is those two checks. Okay, so now we have everything for this class. We can actually save it, and there is some error because I think we didn't return from the can move. Of course we didn't return, so make sure in the can move, if that's none of the conditions satisfied, outside of the for loop, return false. Okay, and then one more thing. I think I've done something. Our reset board function, I think I didn't return any value. So in the reset board, the function should not return anything, it should be void. Okay, so that's the two things. So we can save everything. Remember, this function is not inherit from mono behavior, so we cannot really attach this script to any of the Unity object. We're gonna create the board instance inside our other scripts. So let's move to Unity, and now let's add our manager class. So create mono behavior, and I'm gonna call it the game manager. You can get the better name if you like. It's probably not the best name. Okay, so this class will actually inherit from mono behavior. So right at the start, at the top, I will put the header board, and then serialized field, private int board size will be equal to 4 by default, but that can be changed. Okay, another field will be the transform. Board grid parent. Okay, another one will be serialized field, private, and that's gonna be our tile sale UI. So tile sale UI. So this is gonna be the class which is gonna be attached to our prefab. Let's actually create this class. So inside my resharper, I'm gonna add another class interface, and then I will call it that, and then inherit from the mono behavior, and remove the namespace. Okay, so now the game manager can actually accept this type, so make sure you add this class. We're going to implement in a second, but for now the tile sale UI will be recognized, and then let's call it tile sale prefab. And then I put another header, and this time will be the UI, and then serialized field, private, text mesh pro UGUI, and as you see, my rider automatically added using statement TM Pro. Make sure you have that. Score text. And then another serialized field, private text mesh pro UI, best text. So that's the best score. And then serialized field, private game object, and then game over panel. Okay, and then private board. So that's going to be the instance of our board we just implemented. Board, and then private tile style UI, and that's going to be the array. So we have reference to every single cell, and then private bool game over. Okay, in our start method, let's actually put few things. So first of all, in our start method, we want to create our board. So create board UI. So that's the function we will add. Then we need to create actually board. So board will be equal to new board, and then we're gonna put the board size. Board, okay, and we want to start our game. So start new game. So that's the function we will need. And let's actually start adding that. So update method will be needed. So below the update method, let's first add the create board UI. So private void create board UI, and then cells will be equal to new tile style UI, and then board size. So that's going to be the array, and then for y, and we're going to start not from 0 but from the board size -1, and then y must be more or equal than 0, and then y minus. Okay, and now for we're going to do the same for x equals 0, x is less than the board size, x++. Okay, so we want to loop backward from the first dimension and then forward on the next one, and then tile style UI is going to be the cell will be equal to instantiate, and we want to create our prefab. So tile style prefab board grid parent. Okay, we want to put our cells below the game object, and then cell at x and y will be equal to cell. It's going to be the cells. Okay, and that is for creating our board. So in the create board, we're just instantiating our prefabs. And now let's put another function public void start new game. In start new game, let's put the game over to be false, game over panel set active false, board dot reset board, and then refresh UI. And this is the function we need to add. So we're going to refresh all of the UI bits. So in our refresh UI, let's put that function below. So public, actually private, void refresh UI. We want to loop through the board, so for X board size, for Y less than the board size, and then cells at X and Y dot set value. We don't have that function yet because our class is not implemented yet. So let's just stick it there, and we're going to implement in the second, but let's carry on here for now. So board dot get value X and Y. So we're going to get value from our board, the class we have implemented, and we want to actually put in our tile sale UI, so specific prefab, we want to set that text. So this set value is going to just setting the displayed text to the proper value. And right below, score text will be equal to, and let's put the score colon plus board dot score text dot text, and then best text dot text will be equal to best plus board dot best score. Okay, so that's going to be the refresh UI. And we will also need one more function here, the try move. So we will try moving left, right, top or bottom. So private void try move, and then vector to int direction, bool move will be equal to board dot move direction if move return. Okay, so if we cannot move, then we're going to return from here, otherwise board dot spawn random tile refresh UI, and then if board dot can move if we cannot move based on the board, then game over equal true, and then game over panel dot set active equal true. Okay, so basically we will move, and after we move, of course, we have new numbers, so we need to refresh the UI. We need to spawn another set of the new numbers on the board, and then we check if we can move, if there's empty spaces, or we can merge, and then if it's not, that means everything, all of the board is completed, and then the game over panel is displayed. Okay, and then we need to actually use this try move function, and we're going to do that in our update function. So in the update function, we're going to check if the if is game over. We're going to return Otherwise, vector2int move direction will be equal to vector2int 0. So there is no move direction. And then we're gonna listen for the input. So I will use all the input system. And if we use all the input system, you're gonna get a problem straight away the Unity, but I will show you how we can solve it. So input, especially in the Unity 6.3, because they try to remove the old input system and rely on the new one. So I will show you how to do it. So input to get key down, key code dot left arrow. And the left arrow will be move direction will be equal to vector left. Okay, let's actually copy this and then put else. If that's gonna be the right arrow, then that's gonna be the direction gonna be right. Okay, let's copy this, and then if we will put up arrow, the direction will be up. And then if we will put the down arrow, the direction will be down. So this basically function is just listen for the input, and then if the move direction is not equal to vector to 0, so if we actually press something, then we will do try move direction. Okay, and that will be it for this game manager. There is an error because we don't have the value in our tile style UI. So let's implement that class now. Let's go to the tile style UI, and this class will be attached to our tile prefab we've created. So this is going to be a very simple class. In this class, let's put right at the top serialized field, private image, and then image is not recognized because we need to use the Unity engine.ui. Okay, make sure you add that in, and then background. Okay, and then another one will be serialized field, private text mesh pro UGUI value text, and then let's put our function set value, void set value. Set value will be with the int value. Okay, so that's the function we were missing. And then if the value is less or equal 0, so that means this is the empty. So value text dot text will be equal to empty. And then background color will be equal to new color. I will put some value for this color. You can choose whatever color you like. I will put 205, 193, 180, 255 for the alpha. You can choose whatever color you like. It doesn't really matter. You can change that later. Or you can even pass the color from the editor itself. If you like, you can add another variable here. So this is basically the background color if the cell is empty, so it's better visual. If it's not empty, then we want to do the value text dot text will be equal to value dot toString, and then background dot color will be equal to get tile color value. So what this is another function we will implement. This is going to be the last function in this class. So this function, let's actually do that. Write at bottom private color and then be int value. So what this function will be doing is based on the value of the specific tile, is going to set that tile to different color. I will just put some colors. You don't have to follow me with the same colors, but if you like, you can put the same numbers. It's up to you. So I will put the switch statement, and we want to switch on the value, and then case. So the value will be the multiplication of 2. So first value will be 2. If the value is 2, we're going to return new color 32, and then I'll put some values 238, 228, 228, 228, 218, and then 255. Okay, actually this function needs to return the color, not the void. Okay, so make sure you return the color from this function. So for the value 2, that's going to be the color I chosen. For the value 4, I will choose 237, 224, 200, and then 255. For value 8, we put the 242, 177, 121. Okay, for the value 8 times 2 is 16. For 16 is 245, 149, 99, 255. For the value 32, let's put 246. So as you see, the colors are getting like more in red and then yellow gradually. So so we can follow with the same numbers as me, or if not, you can choose yourself whatever value you like. 124, 95. For value 64, I will put 246, 94, and then 59. Okay, for value 128, let's put maybe some orange or yellow. 237, 207, 114. For value 256, 237, 204, 97. Okay, maybe one more for value 112. Actually, we're going to do all of the colors. 237, 280. For value 1024, because 512 times 2 is 1024, is 37, 197, 63. For value 2048, so that's basically the maximum. We're gonna put the color 60, 58, and then 50. Actually, because this is the black color, so maybe this black color we're gonna return it default. default return new color 32. That's going to be that black color. And for the value 2048, we're going to do the 237.194.46. Okay. And then this is the function completed. So we're going to set our color based on the value we passed in. And I think that's it. We can save all of the scripts. So file save all. And then we can go back to Unity. There are a few things we need to do. First of all, go to the prefabs, open our tile sail, switch to the scene view. So this is our prefab. And then in the tile sail, let's go to the scripts and then tile sail UI, just grab it and drop it onto the tile sail object. The background, grab our background, drop it there, and then value text, grab the value text and then drop it. Okay, let's hit this arrow. Then for our game root, so let's go to the game root and let's add our game manager to the game root. And then let's go to our, okay, and now let's initialize our board grid parent. Board grid parent will be our board grid, so grab it and then drop it there. Tile sail prefab is inside our prefab folder, so go there, tile sail, drop it there. Score text is our score text. Best text is our best text. And then game over panel, this is something we haven't added yet, so let's quickly add. Right click on the canvas, UI panel. And that's going to be the game over panel. Let's add text, so text, and I will put inside this text game over. Let's maybe the width will be 500, and then make sure you put in the center. I will change to 60, and then maybe change the color to, I don't know, red. Okay, and also I will change the width to be 850. Actually, not here. It's going to be 500. I will click on the game over panel, and then let's change the pivot to in the middle, and then width to 850, and then height will be 850. So it's going to be the same size as our board. And now let's make sure it's disabled right at the start, and then go to the game root again and grab our game over panel and drop it in the game over panel. And that's pretty much it, what we have to do. Let's test it now. Let's first of all go to the file, save, press play. And as you see, once you press play, you will have the issue, invalid operation, you are trying to read input. So this is basically Unity complaining because I've put the old input system, and it's just expecting the new input system right at the start. And this is by the default behavior on the Unity 6.3. To fix that, let's stop it. Let's go to the edit, project settings, and then let's go to the player, and then under the other settings, let's scroll down and go to the active input handling, and from the drop down, as you see, is currently selected to input system package, which is new. You can change it to input manager old, or you can use both. So I will select both. And then once you do that, you will see the warning. Let's hit apply, and Unity will restart. So because this is basically need to import some modules, so it's gonna just restart it. So we have to wait until Unity start again. Okay, and now it's restarted. So now we should not see any of the issue. Let's press play. And now you see there is no problem, and now we can actually use the arrows, so up, down. Let's play for a bit. As you see, all is working fine. You can try to play and then beat your scores. Okay, I have 32. I will try to force the game over. So just to make sure the game over panel is working as well. Okay, seems like still have some move. Yes, no move. Score 6.8 and the best score is 608. So if I start the game again, I should see the same best score. Yeah, that's all working. So this is your 2048 games. Hopefully this tutorial was interesting, and hopefully you learned something. If you like this tutorial, please consider subscribing to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment if you see something wrong, or if you have other idea for another tutorials. So thanks for watching, congratulations on your project, and I will see you again in the next video.